This block plane has a huge problem. A block plane is primarily used for cleaning up the edges of boards or putting chamfers on them, but this one's sole is literally falling off the body. So I'm going to show you how to fix it. This plane is made by a 5th generation German company steeped in tradition called ECE. Today, I'm going to show you how to restore it, hypothesize about the possible life that this plane had, and decide if it belongs on your workbench. Stick around. So I think I'm going to have to pull the body off and then re-glue him up and give him some, a couple passes with sandpaper, a hand plane, and restore him up and get him running. That's exactly what you want. And I'll do a comparison video between him and my... Where's my block plane? Where's my block plane? Well, that sucks. Anyways, I've got a Veritas block plane I'll do some comparisons with. Well, I had this thing I bought a while ago, and it needs repair, big time, a little restoration. But it's an ECE block plane that I think is really neat. Neatest of it all is how they laminate these bodies together. This one's separating with just thumb pressure. I can get this body to come apart. I don't know how well the video shows it, but you couldn't get a consistent cut because all around the edges, the block plane body was separating from its sole. So when you would press it onto the wood, you would get inconsistent depths of cut. And we're gonna have to take it apart and clean out all the glue, and I'm gonna show you how the body comes apart because it's really neat. So to get started, we're going to take off the lever cap, which is just operated by that little screw, and take the iron out. This is a single iron, so it does not have a chip breaker, and you can see it's pretty abused. But I think the mechanism is really cool, the way the depth adjuster works. It's a very neat plane. It's a cool concept. So I've got mallet, block to strike with. I'm holding it by the Lignum Vitae sole, and we're gonna, oh, look at that. So you'll notice, as I said, the sole is delaminating from the body all around the edges. And if you look at the body, you can see there's like a dull look in the center of it, and it's shiny around the edges. And what I'm guessing is that it was dull where we just broke the glue bond, but around the edges where it's shiny is where the glue had given up before. All right, so with the sole in here, I noticed that it was slightly twisted. So I'm just gonna kiss it all over with the 4.5. Hopefully that'll flatten it out. I'm not squeezing too tight in the vise because I don't want to squish the body and deform it in any kind of way. I just want to be able to take crazy little shavings. Yep, so we can see the edges I'm not touching quite yet. So I'm going to keep working. I don't mind so much if it's hollow, but I don't want it not touching on the corners. So it seems that the body is really what moved the most. I'm gonna clean up these little markings like down in here, whatever this trash is. I'm taking a marking knife and cleaning. Of course, I just took my new marking knife and scuffed a screw. That's great. That's awesome. Back in the box. So you can see what I thought was trash is actually the screws coming through. All right, so I'm just taking a standard little file, and he is too thick even. What do I have that's thin enough to fit into these grooves? I gotta go digging. Whoosh. Look at this little guy, isn't he cute? So from here, I can come in here and clean up all of the trash that's making him not fit well. So the reason that I am filing in here is because there's some old trash that's making it not fit well. But also, I don't know whether this is bonded with epoxy or wood glue, and especially epoxy won't bond to itself very well unless you abrade it. So I'm just coming in here and just trying to rough everything up a little bit. I'm not really trying to take any wood off. I just want to make sure that I have a good mating surface. I don't know what song this is, but I'm using a file, and that's good enough for me. Yo, air guy. Come on now. And here I'm just using some compressed air to blow all the wood dust out. That looks beautiful. Now, to do the body side. And I'm gonna file these little screws. I hate these little screws because they cause me to have to do more work, and I hate them. Idiot screws. I don't have to file the screws. I just have to take them out. That's why they're screws. When you guys go to Chipotle, what are you getting? If I'm feeling healthy, I get a bowl with all the good stuff, but my favorite stuff is just tacos with cheese. Lots of cheese. Well, would you look at that? I don't have to mess with them screws no more. Not messing with screws, I'm just trying to clean up these little line things. I don't know what to call them. That shit sucks. My fingers hurt. This better be worth it. Be good, come on. Oh. It looks promising. Closing up nicely. I'll do the old glue and sander trick. Back here, I gotta take more off of the sole. I think I've got a brush. Oh. It's a little turkey baster type deal. ECE, you should look into these little brushes so you make sure you get glue all the way through. Because if not, I have to do this. We're gonna get all the squeeze out everywhere. And why not even throw some on this thing? Cool. Huh. Oh. Alright. Now. That's crazy. Clamp there. Clamp here. Make a complete mess. And now is the time I think is perfect to say, if you're watching still, please just hit subscribe. It takes like a split second, and it helps me immensely. I guarantee you, it's not going anywhere. It's not going anywhere. It's been in clamps for, I don't know, 6 hours. Long enough. Let's check it out. I have glued my clamps to the bottom of the plane, and I've made a mess inside of the plane. Wow, look at that. Anyways, the sole's grain is, but the thing, so this likes it this way, but the sole likes it that way, which I guess I'm back to sanding. That feels really nice. So we're working our way from 240 on the sander to 320 and then 600. All right, now it's time to throw in some polymerized linseed oil. I like tried and true. And the plane just drinks it up. So it's very dry. And I think that's the reason that it started to separate. The plane has traveled a long way in its life. It was made in Germany, and the guy I got it from was in Colorado, which I think is pretty dry, and now it's back near sea level at a very humid climate. So it's had to shift and move a lot in its life, and I think that's how it delaminated. Now, I said I would hypothesize about the life the plane might have lived. I think the previous owner might have been a carpenter and not a woodworker, because you'll see on the sole there's white marks all over, and I think that's paint from either flush trimming a door or a window. And you'll also notice it's worn very heavily in the center, which tells me that they were mostly just using this to take chamfers and round edges. So I kept on going with the flattening until I got the sole dead flat, and then I threw the hardware up in my drill press with a wire wheel, and I'm about to go into sharpening, and this is going to be another reason I think this was owned by a carpenter and not a woodworker. I am just using a side sharpening freehand. Find the bevel and push it sideways. So something I'm noticing about this plane blade is even though the plane body has a lot of wear and lignum vitae is extremely hard, it's got a ton of wear, there's still milling marks on the bevel. So that either tells me the person that had it never even sharpened it and just used it super dull for some reason, or this was a replacement blade. I don't know. What do you guys think? So this little adjuster is held in by a key. Oh, and I've seen people online complain about the slop in the adjuster, right? That's a pretty big amount of slop, but I think it's by design, because what you'll do is you will adjust it down as you're pressing forward. You're going to keep adjusting until you get your right depth of cut. Then what you want to do is bring it over to there, back, and figure out, like, about here is in the middle. So when you're in the middle, all the slop allows you to kind of twist your palm in the plane as you're using it without adjusting the setting. So I think that it's a totally fine thing. I mean, I'm adjusting the setting right now. Or I'm not adjusting the setting. I'm turning this knob, but not adjusting the setting. So I think the slop is intentional. If you hate the slop, for some reason, you can take that out. Because the slop is from this wiggling back and forth. You can find some way to shim it or do something else and get rid of that slop. But I think it's intentional, and I think it's pretty smart. See how you can see through it? The adjuster all the way threaded down. We're gonna take our little sleeve and just thumb pressure, you can just press them back in. And then maybe give them a little tap. So we've got a little punch here. All right, with him back in, freshly sharpened iron, lever cap. Let's see how he does taking a little chamfer. That's exactly what you want. Surface feels really nice. I mean, it's a great little block plane. That's what I use my block plane for 90% of the time, is taking chamfers, and he does a perfect job. So I promised I would find my Veritas, and here it is. They are pretty much the exact same size. Now, the Veritas is adjustable in so many ways so quickly. Like, your mouth is adjustable by loosening this. You can get a big wide mouth for big shavings that you won't be taking with a block plane, or you can get him dialed in to an incredibly fine cut that you won't be able to get on this. You can adjust it laterally by wiggling this side to side. It's called a Norris adjuster, where the lateral on this is set with a hammer. You're going to take it, look down the sole, and whatever. So how do they cut? I mean, it's a Veritas. It cuts beautifully. But so does this. So am I saying that the Veritas is better than this? Probably, if you are someone who's making tons of money and all you're doing is selling furniture and pumping out good stuff, the Veritas is very easy to adjust. It'll adapt to anything you've got. It'll stay sharper longer, but it's kind of cold and detached. If you're someone who does this for the sport and you just love wooden things, I think this is awesome. It cuts beautifully. It might not stay as sharp long and as long, but I mean, that's a totally beautiful shaving. If you're transitioning from metal planes into wooden planes, it's great because it's still got a depth adjuster and you can start learning hammer set without having to dive all the way in. There's no wedge. So it's a little closer to mechanical adjustment, but it's like that little step right into wooden planes. The sole is self-lubricating and super hard, so it glides like nobody's business. The way that the Veritas only kind of glides that way when you freshly waxed it. But once you've taken a handful of swipes, it starts to push back at you. And I'm not talking you have to be yoked like your boy, but because I mean, it's just a chamfer at the end of the day. It still makes a difference. You can feel it when you're trying to push through. It's not that the cutter's dull, it's that it is grabbing onto the wood. Where this just, I mean, it glides so effortlessly and it just takes ribbons. So they're both great options. They're for different people. And there's a third person that maybe you want this, but you can't afford it. You can always just buy a cheap old Stanley block plane. They're perfectly fine. They're not as nice. You don't feel as cool using it. But we're talking taking chamfers, and he does fine too. Guys, whatever you can afford, just go out, get something, build something, have fun, and be safe in the shop.